Hello everyone. So in this video, I just want to give you guys some sort of a exterior appearance and basic feature comparison of the Garmin Edge 1030 Plus compared to the Garmin Edge 1040. Now this is Garmin's newest addition to their cycling GPS computer lineup. This is not the top end, which is the Garmin Edge 1040 Solar, which adds a solar charging glass as well as two solar charging panels on the top and the bottom of the 1040. That in turn actually is able to give you some sort of amazing battery life if you ride mostly outdoors in sunny or daylight conditions. Now, as you can see, the reason I have the 1040 over here as my upgrade for the 1030 Plus is not because I want the solar capability, because I mostly ride in the evening time. So that solar feature is pretty much useless to me. And I'm not a super elite cyclist. I just want a large screen GPS cycling computer with map features. So every evening I could track my rides, and on the weekends, sometimes I do some leisure rides around 15 to 30 miles, and a reliable GPS with a big mapping feature is going to provide me a very comfortable user experience. And that's pretty much it. I don't race, I don't do ultra endurance rides. So that's why this video, we are only featuring on the appearance, because I think that is actually kind of important to a lot of people who buy this cycling computer or their newest gadgets, right? So I bought the 1030 Plus probably a year ago for the same price as when the 1040 Plus came out a few weeks ago. I bought it for the same price, which is $599 MSRP in the US, plus tax, of course. I bought mine in a bicycle shop. I bought my 1040 in a bicycle shop and my 1030 Plus at REI when I lived in New Jersey. And again, those cycling computers, in terms of feature, they are going to be extremely similar. In terms of appearance, the 1030 Plus and the 1040 have the exact same screen resolution, the exact same screen size, and the exact same screen area. If I put them side by side, you can see the size of the glass of the front cutting is exactly the same, okay? Nothing has changed in terms of screen resolution. What changed, however, is this screen supports more colors or more color gradients compared to the old screen, okay? So simply put, actually, let me see if I can get you guys to the map. I'm gonna go into the road profile, and I'm gonna switch to the maps. All right, so here we have a map right here. What you can see is the color is a lot more vibrant on the 1040 compared to the 1030 Plus. The contrast, this feels like paper, okay? And this looks to be a LCD screen. So in terms of, contrast or the screen display, they have improved on the contrast, they have improved on the color. However, they are exactly the same size and the same screen area, okay? So in that regard, I can actually use my old Garmin 1030/1030 Plus screen protector on my newest Garmin 1040. And guess what? They are exactly the same size. Nothing has changed. See? I can pretty much just apply this here, right away. But again, I'm not going to do that. Just going to show you guys. So if you want a larger screen area, you don't really have to go to 1040. The 1030 Plus is an excellent option, actually. And obviously, they also added a bottom swipe from the 1040. You don't have the bottom swipe on the 1030 Plus. So a few more gestures in the interface, which is kind of cool. Some other improvements, or slight improvements, is the you can see they added a dynamic compass directly onto the home screen, which is kind of cool. So, visual appearance is slightly improved as well. On the old one, the 1030 Plus, you just have a static home screen. And if I go to the manual, everything else deep inside, all the basic core functions are pretty much still the same, okay? Really, you're paying the premium for a improved screen, a slightly improved user interface, and another kind of important update is the dual band GPS. So if you see on top, you see the GPS signal on the top. So right here, there's GPS signal. So this one, it's got a plus sign. This one actually, the 1040 or the 10 and 1040 Solar supports dual band GPS, and the old one is single band. So what that entails you is you get probably 2 to 3 feet more accuracy in kind of a tricky situation, or like in the city jungle, in canopies, a lot of tree coverage. You're gonna have a very slight advantage with the 1040 compared to the 1030 Plus. Now, I'm not saying 1030 Plus is not good. It's already fantastic. Just the 1040 is gonna give you slightly more advantage, slightly more accuracy in tricky situations. If you're in the wide open, like where I'm riding in Miami, where there really isn't any tricky areas to speak with, both of those GPS is actually gonna, in theory, perform pretty similarly. If you live in New York City, I would definitely consider the 1040, or if you live in any metropolitan areas where there is a lot of buildings and a lot of interference for GPS signal, or if you live in an area where during your ride there's a lot of tree coverage, you ride kind of in the forest quite a lot, definitely give the 1040 a serious consideration before you go into the 1030 Plus route, because the GPS signal is going to be slightly better with that dual band, multi-band GPS support. It's not to say that 1030 Plus is not good. The 1030 Plus is already very good. This one is going to be excellent on top of very good. Okay, so actually just quickly, I'm going to go into the GPS settings so you guys can actually see. So this is again 1040 and this is 1030 Plus. So I went into my road profile on both of those. And again, most of the setting is going to be very, very, very similar. Okay, again, we go to the GPS mode on the 1030 Plus. You can see I have the GPS plus GLONASS or GPS plus Galileo. And over here, I have a couple different settings, okay? It directly just asks me to choose best accuracy, balanced, and best battery life. So basically, it's simplifying things for me. Over here, when it says GPS plus GLONASS, that's actually probably gonna be your best setting for the United States. And if you are in Europe, you probably want to use GPS plus Galileo, which is the Russian satellite network. And the GPS, of course, your standard run-of-the-mill standard accuracy. Over here, it doesn't even tell you which, what is entailed, or unless you click that exclamation mark. So it tells you the multi-GNSS multi-band is for GPS plus GLONASS plus Galileo plus Beidou, which is a Chinese satellite, plus QZSS. I believe that's Japanese. Okay, so you can use all those satellites all at the same time, which is pretty amazing in terms of using available resources. So that's your multi-GNSS multi-band setup. Now, if you go to the multi-GNSS setup, that's kind of similar to the GPS plus GLONASS or GPS plus Galileo. But over here, the option is they automatically include every option except the multi-band. But on the older model, you only have an option of an additional satellite system compared to the advantage of having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 satellite system all working at the same time. Okay, so again, if you want a best accuracy, of course, you're going to turn on multi-gen SS plus multi-band on the 1040. And that's the reason I bought the 1040 is, for better accuracy and slightly improved battery life. And if you guys just, again, ride mostly in the open, and you never had issue with your old GPS, the GPS plus GLONASS is going to be more than enough for your everyday riding, okay? So there is, I think this is one of the important reason is the GPS accuracy for folks who actually will be considering the 1040 compared to the 1030 plus. Otherwise, I would stick with 1030 plus. And right now the price for the 1030 plus has already probably being heavily discounted since this one is retailing for the same price when I bought it, the 1030 plus. Okay, so physically, if you guys look, it's very slightly, the new GPS is very slightly longer. However, when you hold both GPS in the hand, you actually feel the 1040 physically feels smaller, even though it's slightly longer in terms of profile, and it actually feels physically slimmer, or it looks physically slimmer as well, again, because of the back cutout shape compared to the old 1030 plus. It looks slimmer, it feels slimmer, it's just slightly longer. Okay, that's the only difference in terms of the physical size difference. And again, if you look at the back, a huge difference in terms of the GPS mount. So right now on the new 1040, you have a aluminum polished or brushed aluminum GPS mount, and over here you have your standard plastic GPS mount. Now, I've never had any issue with the plastic mount to start with, and actually I think the aluminum mount would actually wear out your actual the plastic mount faster, because eventually you're gonna move this up and down, off and on your different bikes quite a lot. And if you finish with your riding, you want to take it off, transfer data, or charge it. I would think this one actually would wear the other area of the mounting system faster compared to a plastic mount, which never had any issue to start with. Plastic on plastic, it's not gonna create any issue. So I think they only did this for just to make it feel a little more premium, but I think it's actually a downside having a metal mount, because again, a metal on plastic mounts, it's gonna shorten the actual plastic mounting life. So besides that, really not much difference besides a slightly refreshed interface with a slightly easier to use manual system. Right now in the front page, you have a lot more things that's usable, but over here, as you can see in the home page, you can't really scroll through much. You only have certain profiles as determined. But over here, if you have multiple profiles, you can scroll through multiple profiles here. And you can also scroll up and down to get your notifications squared out without having to, sort through your watch or your phone. So that's a nice gesture, a nice small upgrade. Is it necessary? Not really. But so in summary, if you have a old silicone protector case, unfortunately, it's not going to be usable on the new GPS, because again, as I mentioned, the new GPS is slightly longer in terms of the profile, and the shape on the back is entirely different. Okay, so you're gonna have to have a new silicone protective case just for the 1040. And another huge plus or huge improvement, which I think Garmin should have done a long time ago, is the inclusion of USB-C charging port. This is much easier to use compared to a standard micro USB port, which is prone to failure and prone to just snapped away. And I've had a lot of USB ports destroyed from daily charging or whatever. But again, I'm kind of afraid of the micro USB port, and unfortunately, the micro USB port is present on the old 1030 plus. So if you're a hater of micro USB, and if you're a lover of USB-C, I think this is by itself a pretty important reason for you to go with the newest 1040. And this little area, the cover is actually silicone, kind of like a rubbery. So once you have this closed, it's pretty sealed. But again, I think it's kind of a design issue because you see how flappy this mount is. Despite the fact that this is rubber, it doesn't really properly seal that port. So that kind of have me worried. But again, Garmin, claims that this is pretty much, IPX6 or 7, whatever, waterproof. I'm never gonna drop it in water, so anyway, it doesn't really matter. But in terms of the safety, I think the older USB port is actually designed slightly better. It actually holds in place slightly better on the 1030 Plus compared to the 1040. Now that's pretty much all the physical difference I can see. You have a lanyard here, and you have a lanyard over here as well. I think maybe that's a lanyard, I'm not sure. You have your speaker here. Both of those units, starting with the 1040 Plus, the notification or the beeping tone is actually pretty improved. It's very easy to see to hear the navigation tones on the 1040 compared to the 1030 Plus. I'm sorry, the 1030 Plus compared to the 1030, the last generation. So that has improved on this, and it's remained the same, which is excellent on the 1040 as well. Okay, so yeah, if you guys ask me, the reason to go with the 1040, of course, is for the updated screen, much brighter, much more contrast, and more color supported compared to the last generation, which is slightly dual, have less color display, and but in terms of resolution, both of those have the same resolution, same screen size. And also the reason to go to 1040 Plus, the 1040 or the 1040 Solar is if you are a USB-C lover, or if you have a lot of other devices, modern devices that use USB-C, this is gonna help quite a lot. Now I know for iPhone users that probably doesn't make much difference because iPhone is just sticking with Lightning, kind of frustrating as well. But it is what it is. At least you have the newest standards. Now, in terms of the transfer speed, that is to be find out. I'll actually post my finding in the description once I find out the transfer rate, whether it's still USB 2 or it's actual USB-C transfer speed. Again, reason to go with the 1040 Plus, or 1040 reinforced, mount. Again, it doesn't really make much difference. The original plastic mount is very durable, never had any issue. I think they just did this for appearance to enhance the look. It is a good looking unit. It's much better looking compared to the old and dual looking of the 1030 Plus design. And again, with this dual tone design, it looks more slim, feels great, even just holding it in the hand. The biggest reason to go with 1040 would be, personally, the dual band GPS setup. As I showed you guys earlier, this GPS unit is able to use every single GPS in the sky for civilian use. It's able to take advantage of every single GPS that it can find. That in turn gives you a much more accuracy, a more accurate positioning in tricky areas. For example, in New York City, for example, in a lot of heavy canopy coverages in the forest. If you do mountain biking, I would think this is probably gonna elevate your game because again, it's able to find a lot more GPS to start with. So yeah, mountain bikers, this might be a huge help. And city riders, a great addition would be a 1040 compared to the older 1030 Plus. Any other reason that I would go with the 1040? That's pretty much it. I mean, all the training features stays the same. All the recording features stay the same. All the sensor support pretty much stays the same. It actually, I think, ditched a old Bluetooth support. It only supports the newest Bluetooth style, which I don't, I'm not against with because nobody have those really old Bluetooth devices anymore. Compared to the 1030 Plus, the processing power of the 1040 seems to have improved. It's able to actually navigate to a point of interest much faster compared to the 1040 is faster compared to the old 1030 Plus. So I'm just gonna actually try to find a spot to navigate to, and hopefully, let's see how fast those GPS performs. And let's see how long it's gonna take for both devices to calculate the route. Interestingly, what I heard, the calculation is slightly faster on the new GPS, but it looks like, oh, okay, yeah, it's definitely faster. At the beginning, it's slower. I thought they're gonna have the same speed of finishing, calculating the routes, but obviously, again, let's see. All right, so this one's done. And it already started giving me a direction. And of course, I have to turn this elevation plot off so it displays a little more space. And this one's done. But as you can see, it still haven't drawn out. Yep, it just finished drawing out the map. So in terms of speed, and again, this is a very, very long plot. It's, probably over 100 miles, which took, as you can see, how fast those GPS took. And let's see. So there you have it. I thought this is also kind of important to point out that the new 1040 in terms of navigation speed is, I don't know, slightly faster than the 1030 plus. So if you always use your navigation feature on the fly during your ride, this one is going to be slightly faster compared to the 1030 plus. Otherwise, there really isn't any reason to go back unless you want to save some money. Unless those features that I mentioned is not as important to you, then you should stick with 1030 plus, which is still a very viable, powerful GPS to train with, to ride with. Okay. If you guys have any questions about the 1040 and the 1030 plus, the differences, feel free to ask me in the comment section down below. I'll try my best to answer those questions for you. Otherwise, I hope you found this quick comparison video helpful. Again, we're not riding outside, but whatever I said is pretty much going to be true because I actually reviewed a dual band, a multi-band GPS unit from Garmin a while back, the Garmin GPS 66SR, which is similar, dual band GPS that's optimized for hiking. Okay, this one is for cycling, which I'm really excited about. And that's, again, the reason I bought the 1040 the moment it came out. So thanks again. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.